So we're up to, I'm going to put you on mute and kindly unmute yourselves as you see fit. So we're up to Eis Daled, and now we're going to explain, even though the last few lines of the previous Eis we kind of glossed over. Perhaps we shall revisit that, but let's meanwhile go further. So now he's going to explain the difference between Avraham and Yisrael. Right? The Mishnah said that Hashem has acquired 5 acquisitions in his world. And 2 of them, one was Avraham, of the 5, one was Avraham and one was Yidden. Well, surely that's one thing. So why are they listed independently? That he's going to explain. Just by the way, last night we did Kiddush Levana, many of us, and you would have noticed there's a reference there to the 4 Elamus. And how is Atzilus referred to? Yeah, let's get the Siddur.
Kainecha, no?
That's right. I just want to get the we say in Kiddush Levana, which is all about the Levana, and it's all about the Neshama, the renewal of the moon, the renewal of the Jewish people. So we say there, excuse me, blessed be, we say, Baruch Eisech, blessed be your maker. Baruch Yotzech, blessed be the one who formed you. Baruch Boirech, blessed be the one who created you. Obviously, we're going from the bottom up. Velamasiya, Yitzira, Bria. And how is Atzilus referred to? As Baruch Koinech, blessed be the one who acquires you. So here too, the idea of Kinyan is a reference to that level of the divine, which is not a creation of God, but symbolically an acquisition. Again, the parallel is not absolute and perfect, but the idea being that an acquisition is not something, acquiring something is no change in the thing itself, just ownership. But before you got it, it was concealed from you. Now it's revealed for you, to you. So Atzilus is a level of Elikus where Hashem is expressing himself in a way that before that he was concealed to us. Now he's revealed in Atzilus. But the point of the Maimon is that, as we noted, all of the 5 things that he mentions, some of them to begin with are very lofty levels, Atzilus even. The point is, it's all relative. Through Avodah, and that's the point here, there's an even elevation to a greater level within Kinyan. It could be, again, the end of the Maimon is missing, but it could be this is the precise language of the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, 5 Kinyanim Hashem acquired in his world. Rather than saying Hashem has 5 acquisitions in his world. The word Kinyan appears twice in the language of the Mishnah. Chamisha Kinyanim, 5 acquisitions God acquired for him in his world. Again, rather than God has 5 acquisitions in his world, that would summarize it succinctly without repeating the word acquisition twice. It seems the explanation is that all of these things are an acquisition to begin with in their natural state. However, in this world, they attain yet a higher level of kinyan, a higher level of closeness through avodah. That seems to be what's being explained here. All right, that kind of clear? Yeah? Yeah, okay. So let's go further. Yesh lahaisif levayer, and we're going to explain now and add and explain why does the Mishnah identify Avram as a Kinyan and Yisrael as a separate Kinyan? They're one acquisition. The Avram who Yisrael, Avram is a Yid. Yisrael who Avram, and Yidden of course come from Avram. So it's one thing, one would think. answer. So I just want to give you a heads up. What's coming now is a little bit technical. It's wordy because we're going to analyze words in different sources, and where we're all going with this, so that we don't get lost in the words, is that the Rebbe is going to point out that in our relationship with Hashem as Yidden, it's multidimensional, and two broad dimensions are child and servant. So we're going to see that Avraham embodies child or son, loving son, and Yidden overall, that level as well, but also the level of servant. And he will explore and explain the difference between these two levels in our service of God. That's now the rest of the next two paragraphs. Let's see, 3. Let's see how this is developed. So understand the difference between Avraham and Yisrael by first prefacing, in addition to the Braisa, which is the Mishnah, which we are looking at. This is the 6th chapter, just to point out, the 6th chapter of Pirkei Avos is not really part of the original Pirkei Avos. It's only 5 chapters, and they're Mishnahs. Mishnahs means teachings that were, to begin with, arranged and ordered by Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, who collated all the teachings of the Tanoim, and he set up the 6 orders of the Mishnah and their many tractates, 60 tractates in all. And Avos is one of them. Braisa means outside. Braisa means a teaching of these very same sages that was left outside the body of the Mishnah. And the Gemara, whenever it discusses a Mishnah, will always bring, of course, all the relative Braisas to complete the discussion and explain why Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi chose that teaching and not this one. That's part of the Gemara's analysis. So too, the 6th so-called chapter, it is a chapter, Pirkei Avos is really Braisas. It's a collection of teachings not originally incorporated in Pirkei Avos, all dealing with Torah. And it was added as a 6th chapter to be learned always on the Shabbos before Shavuos. And in fact, the name of the chapter is called Kinyan Torah, how Torah is acquired, or the acquisition of Torah. So let's continue now. So in addition to the words of the Braisa, the teaching that we quoted, Ba'avos, Shalamedim HaKinyan Echad Yisrael. So each of the 5 items mentioned in the Mishnah gets scriptural support. So how do we learn? Where's the source that Yidden are a Kinyan? It's the pasuk of Ad Yavod Am Zukanisa, referring to the crossing of the Red Sea, and the Yidden are referred to as a people you have acquired. All right, so let's remember this, that we're referred to as not Hashem's child here, but people. So there are other places in Chazal where this idea of we being Hashem's acquisition is also mentioned with different proof texts. Matzina, we find like King in Yisrael Gam B'Sifri. We find in Sifri, which is a midrashic commentary on Sefer Vayikra. So there too, we find Yidden called Hashem's acquisition. Just skip the square brackets for a moment, go straight to the end. Shenilmad me'apasuk, what's the proof text there? Not the one brought by our Mishnah, but rather, Halayhu avicha kanecha. He is your father, the one who has acquired you, or you're actually your nest, but acquired, kanecha. So we see that in our Mishnah or our Braisa, the proof text talks about the people being your acquisition. And in the Sifri, Yidden are referred to as, in the context of a child of a father. Your father, not people and king, but rather father and child. That's the point he wants to make. Meaning to say that in our relationship as Yidden, there's 2 levels, there's 2 dimensions. As we say in Rosh Hashanah davening, im kevadim, im kavadim, im kevadim, im kavadim. Whether like children, whether like servants, we invoke both. Or in the Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. Both things, child and subject or servant. So that's what the Rebbe is saying here. Now in the square brackets, he goes to going back to the square brackets, the other sources where this acquisition is referred to. Let's have a look at it. V'shom, there in the Sifri, lo niskru kol ha'chamisha kinyanim shebebraisa. Another distinction is that in the Sifri over there, unlike Al Mishnah and Pirkei Avos, doesn't mention 5 acquisitions. Kim Gimel, Kinyanim, only 3. Torah, Yisrael, and Beis HaMikdash. What's missing is heaven and earth and Avraham. Moreover, now we can even understand that because heaven and earth is a different category, that's creation, and Avraham because he's included in Yisrael. So we understand why we only mention 3 things over there. Furthermore, the Gemara Mechilta, the same subject is brought up also, quoted by our sages in the Gemara Mechilta, which is another medrash. Niskero Dalit Kinyanim, 4 things are mentioned there. Shemaisiv Gam Shemayim V'Oretz, but also not mentioning Avraham for the obvious reason because Avraham is part of Israel. And furthermore, V'Gam Le'Nemar Lashon Kinyan Echad. It doesn't say there like Al Braisa does after mentioning each one, Echad, 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 which is conveyed by Al Braisa, which the Rebbe is saying is the most detailed. Al Braisa is the most detailed at addressing this subject. Close brackets. We could speak more about these brackets, but I think we got the general idea why he brings it. And what does he want to say? Concluding again, that's the bottom line, that there in the Sifri, the pasuk that is quoted, that illustrates or demonstrates that Yidna, Hashem's acquisition, does not invoke Hashem's people, but Hashem's child, or God being the Father. What's the difference? Now another medrash. Everybody's with me so far? I need your feedback. Yeah?
Okay.
All right. Not everybody's saying yes. Okay. Not sure what that means. All right. Okay. So now he's going to explain the difference between child and subject or servant by quoting another medrash, a beautiful medrash. Let's see it. We'll understand these 2 different levels of acquisition. Acquisition is not a wonderful word. It sounds just too business-like. Maybe there's another word we could find. Anyway. Al-Pi Maimer HaMedrash, in light of the teaching of the Medrash, another Medrash, a Medrash in Shir HaShirim, the Pasuk there says as follows. She is speaking, that's us, and she says, Doidi li, my beloved is unto me, Vani lo, and I am unto him. That's, by the way, the inverse of the usual, the more popular quote, Ani lo doidi v'doidi li, which refers to Elul, the same language, but in the reverse now, describing a different relationship. First God to me, and then I to God. Says the Medrash that my beloved to me and I to my beloved is conveying different levels of relationship, and that is as follows. Hu li l'leikim, he is my God, as the verse says, I am God your Lord. V'ani lo la'am v'umma, and I am unto him as a people and a nation. Shenam, as the pasuk says in Yeshaya, Hakshiva elai ami, listen to me, my people. Ulu umi, and my nation, elai hazinu, to me, turn your attention. So this verse invokes the idea of the people. So that's one model. Summary, my beloved to me, and I to my beloved, you are my God, and we are your people. That's what this is saying. Now another insight, another layer in the Medrash. Not people and God, or subject and God, but rather, Hu lila of, he is to me Father. As the pasuk says, Ki ata avinu, you are our Father, pasuk in Yeshaya. And another pasuk, Ki ayisi li Yisrael of, God says, I was to Israel as a father, or I am unto Israel as a father. Vani lo ben, and I am to him a child. As the pasuk says, B'ni b'chayri Yisrael, Hashem says, in the whole prelude to Yetzias Mitzrayim, my child, my firstborn Israel. And another pasuk, Boni matem Hashem lekechem pasha, said, hey, you are children to God, your Lord. So what do we see in this medrash? The medrash explaining Doidi li vani loi says it means two things. My beloved is to me and I'm to my beloved is describing or conveying the relationship between God and his people, or a king and his subjects, and a father and a child. So this, therefore, we see that there's two levels of kinyan, which we saw in the previous paragraph, the different psukim, the pasuk quoted by our Mishnah, our Brais in Pirkei Avos talks about a people, but Sifri talks about, brings a pasuk, talks about a father, because there's two things. There's kinyan da'am. There is a relationship that we have with God that's conveyed by the notion of a people, as our pasuk in our Pirkei Avos brings am zukanisa, this people that you've acquired. That's what our Braisa talks about. Va'beis, there's a second acquisition, as it were, kinyan the ben, which the Sifri talks about, the child, bani matem, you are children. That's the one that the Sifri highlights, and it brings a pasuk avicha kanecha in italics. He is your father, kanecha, the one who's acquired you. Therefore, we are called Hashem's children. So, what's the difference? Now he analyzes. When we look at the neshama at its source, the way it is above, this is the general distinction. We are Hashem's children. Like the child, as we learned in not the previous maamer, but the one before, a child comes from the deepest part of the father and mother, for that matter. The deepest part of the brain, the core essence of the human being. And even there, it's a koyach ruchni, as we learned. So as we look at the neshama and its source, we are Hashem's children. But as the neshama comes down here and is invested in the physical body, then we're called his people. And that relationship is not so much child, but subject or servant. Quite simply, the neshama above feels Hashem's presence and loves God naturally, like a child loves a parent. But down here, we don't feel Hashem in the same way. It's a big avodah to feel anything. And what's the main avodah, therefore, is loyalty, is a subject, is behavior, and so on. So this brings also that the word am, which means people, comes from the word gecholim oimemois, which means dimmed coals. Coals that are dimmed. There's a fire there, but you can't discern it. It's the warmth is only deep inside the coal. It's dimmed, and we don't see the warmth at all. In fact, there's no fire anymore. It's extinguished. Now, the truth is there is a fire there, because you take that coal, even the dry coal, the fire, some heat can be extracted, but it's very latent. The idea being that the neshama down here, our love for God and so on, is very deep within us in a non-conscious way, and it's a big avodah to stir it. As he goes on to explain now in greater detail. We're good? Yes? The Indian explanation is as follows. The bina, looking at the level of bina. What's bina? So you all know bina is understanding. Bina is the key to engendering emotions. For the heart to be stirred, we have to be familiar, intimately in our minds, and then the heart's going to respond out of love or awe or respect, whatever it is that we are appreciating. So let's look at the word bina. So bina is 4 letters. Ben, which means a child, and then Yud-Kei, which are the first 2 letters of Hashem's name. So what does this mean, Baruch Nias? As we all know from Tanya, a child, metaphorically, is an emotion, because emotions are born, as we just said, from intellect. When you have a thorough appreciation, understanding of a given subject, well, it could be a subject that's just information for you. There are no emotions are born if you're detached. But if you're learning about the subject, this is what das is. Your orientation is that this is talking to me. As my father-in-law would say, Mister, I'm talking to you. So when we learn Chassidus, in other words, where this is not just beautiful information about the divine and the shamas and the Eibishter and what have you, but rather this is a letter from God addressed to me personally. So that's the orientation. That we think about what we have learned at length and meditate on it, it will stir the heart in some way. All to say that children are born from intellect. Specifically, Chachma is the male, the seed, and Bina is the mother that develops the seed, the seminal idea, developing it into the child that's born in the end, which is the emotion that's born. You can't love someone or respect them if you don't get to know them. You can believe. And if I tell you that, I always used to say this. I used to mention my brother Chaim. All of a sudden, if I tell you I have a brother Chaim in Australia and you trust me, so you believe I have a brother in Australia, 100%. But you can't love him and you can't respect him because you don't know anything about him. If I tell you about him and you learn about him, and certainly if you'd meet him, then you develop feelings of love and reverence. So you can believe in God without knowing him. But you can't love him without knowing him. So love, and for that matter, awe and respect, are born of understanding. So specifically is bina. Let's see inside. Tahaino shepchinas ben, the level, the ben, which means the emotions, the love. Nimshach b'chinas yutke, love is born from a meditation on the two letters of Hashem's name, as he goes on to explain the yud and the hey. Ki ben b'chinas ava, a child, a son, is love. The natural, quite simply, the natural feeling that a child has towards his parents is not awe. That comes through appreciation. But the natural one is love, because you experience the parents. The Pasuk says, Zochar Chazdai, the simple meaning of the Dr. brings this in Tanya. Zochar Chazdai means he remembers his kindness, referring to God, but it's an illusion because the word Zochar also means a male. So a male, which is a son, Chazdai is his kindness, love, chesed, associated with chesed. All to say that son is all about chesed, which is one of the expressions of love. So how do we engender love? The avazu nimsheches b'chinas yudke. So this love is drawn from the letters yudke. How so? I not means bondiness. When a person meditates as follows. This is the bina. What does he have to think about? Binyan ki b'yudke havaya tzur eloma. The pasuk in Yeshaya that says, for with ki, because with yudke, the letters Yudke, Havaya, God, Tzur Elomim, formed the worlds. And what does this mean? First of all, the pasuk is talking about worlds in the plural. So there's two worlds being referred to, because plural is always two, unless stated otherwise. So Hashem creates the worlds with the letters Yud and Hey. That's what so the Gemara explains. That the creation of the worlds, Hashem simply employed two letters to create the worlds. Which worlds? As the Gemara says in Menachos, Yud Niver Lamabo. With the letter Yud, Hashem created the world to come. It means all the spiritual worlds. And with the letter Hey, Hashem created this world. So this explains, Yud is a point, and Hey is a letter which has a roof and a side. It's a whole building. In fact, it is a building. A roof, a side, a window, an opening. Yud is a point. So the world to come, the spiritual worlds, they feel nullified to Hashem. So they created with the letter Yud, which is a point. And this world is a whole world, a whole edifice of relative independence in our own experience. So these are the two letters. The letter Yud Hashem creates the world to come. And the letter Hey, this world. That's the meaning of the pasuk. With Yud K, Hashem formed the world. Chamisha Kosov, like it says in the end of the account of Bereshis, in summation of all of creation, it says on the day, Behi Baram, when he created them, and that word, Behi Baram, when he created them, can be understood. And Rashi actually brings this, Behei, I think he brings it. Maybe not. With the Hey, Baram, he created them. Behei Baram, Hashem created, so they're talking about physical creation. Hashem created this whole world, universe we mean, with the letter Hey. Now what's the meditation? Very nice. So far we know that with the letter Yud, it's all metaphoric, of course. With the letter Yud, Hashem creates the world to come. And with the letter Hey, this world, of the universe. What's the point? The meditation is, the letter Hey is a light letter. Hey, it's just created by the breath. It doesn't involve the hardcore organs of speech. The less meshosha, the letter Hey is breath. It doesn't have substance like Vov, Dalit, right? It's simply the breath. So what's the meditation? So a person thinks as follows: all of the worlds, the upper worlds and the lowest world. What's the divine investor to create it? Beyond negligible. Only these two letters, these two letters, of course, compared to God himself, are absolutely insignificant. And that's the whole divine output. The whole divine output to create even the higher worlds and this world is just two letters. Now, to appreciate how insignificant God's investor is, the person considers the following: just like by us. Now, what is God? Why does Torah use the metaphor of letters? We don't mean letters and words in the literal sense, but we do, in the sense that look what letters mean for us, and therefore have an appreciation of what it is above. Imagine for a person himself, two singular letters that you say. You say Yud and you say Hey. Right? So you put up those two letters against your power of speech, all the words that you said in your life till now, and will say, God willing, and put them up against it, you won't even find them. That's how insignificant they are. You couldn't count virtually the letters that you say in the course of a lifetime. Now take those same two letters and put them up against, where do words come from? They don't come out in the vacuum. That's because I thought first. Now, as we all know, we learned thinking is far more abstract than actually speaking, and you can think in a moment. It's going to take you hours to articulate in words, if you think, relatively speaking, because the letters of thought are far more ethereal. So take these two literal letters, put them up against all the words, they become almost insignificant. Put them up against what? Your power of thought, they shrink even less. They become even less significant. And then, now thought doesn't come in a vacuum. That's produced by the very core of the soul, which is way beyond any articulated kind of thought. And there's stages in between as well. But anyway, what we're successfully doing is here, we're taking these two letters and tracing them back to the source. They become more and more insignificant. You know, it's like a flame against a strong light, against a stronger light, against a stronger light, becomes almost indiscernible, overwhelmed by the stronger light that produced that flame, for want of an imperfect example. So what's the person thinking? So the conclusion is Yuv, and he understands all of creation, this world, the next world, per se, are absolutely insignificant compared to Hashem, blessed be He. So what does that leave us? We're in this world. So that leaves us with absolute insignificance. Well, it depends. So through thinking to this, this will awaken a love and desire that's Muslim, Husay's Baruch Mamish, to a connection to the essence of God, which we can through every mitzvah that we do. So getting caught up in the world itself, what are we connecting to? The most glimmer of a glimmer of a glimmer of a glimmer of Hashem's presence. That's what is invested in creation. And yet every mitzvah, incredibly, we connect to the essence of Hashem himself, which he has given to us, Anoichi Hashem Alikecha, in Torah. This is really, in a sense, what we are talking about every time we say the Shema in the morning, that whole Avas Olam. The eternal love that you have shown us is really this isbonenus. After describing all the higher worlds and the malachim and their praise, and before that, this is really the whole davening. The whole Pesukei de Zimra leading up to Yishtabach is looking at the incredible world that God created, the universe. And then after Baruch Hu, after Yishtabach, we raise our eyes. That was the Hey. Now we look at the Yud, we look at the Olam Esel Yoinim, and then who did you choose? Where's your essence invested? In this world, in relationship with us. So that is going to elicit a great love and longing for an appreciation for Hashem himself. Clear? That's kind of in a few words what the union of Bina means. Ben, love, child, relationship, longing to be in Hashem's embrace, which we are every time, it can be always, in a relationship with God, that is engendered through Yudke, through the meditation and thinking about how all of creation comes from the Yudke. Are we clear? I need your response, friends. Question, clear? Let's see some more.
All
right. Yes. Okay. In summary, he's saying that official, yes.
In the words of Chaim Shkoyach.
So that neutral, you're pleading neutral. You're being Sweden, not yes and not no. So in summary, simply saying, Bina means Ben, love, child, the experience, relationship with God is a result of thinking into that creation per se, as glorious as it is merely the negligible output of Hashem. And therefore, I want the connection to God himself. Don't want to get caught up, not in this world or the next world, despite all of its glory and magnificence from our perspective, but objectively, it's the merest glimmer of a God. And where's the essence of Hashem? The essence of Hashem is invested in me, or I can connect to through Torah and mitzvahs. So how wonderful is that? And how much I want and love and desire to be connected to God, God's very essence. That's Ben. Continuing, yeah, somewhat clearer.
Yeah, but you could say it would seem as though from the opposite perspective, from God's perspective, we're not insignificant. It's the opposite. He's chosen to make us very significant. That's right. So much trouble can be put to it. So even though our perception is of an exceptionally negligible amount, we're not negligible. We're actually very significant. It's just from our perspective, it comes off like that. But if he's chosen to make us significant, so we are.
Right. So exactly, we are everything because he's given his essence to us in Torah mitzvahs. And without that, what he's saying is, in other words, if a person will live a life in harmony with nature, respectful, beautiful, tilling the land and not polluting, like a real, what's the word? I mean, there are those that aspire to that. That's the ultimate, is to live in harmony with nature. And moreover, not only in harmony with nature, but live a spiritual life life of meditation and transcendence and recognizing there's more than just the physical reality, and spend many long hours in meditation. This is, of course, the theoretical objective of the whole hippie generation, the communes, meditation, for that matter, Buddhism. The answer is, not the answer is, so what's that? It's beautiful and it's spiritual. But the Eibush himself, no. That's connecting to the most negligible revelation of God. And God says, I want to give you me. And giving you me, that's in Torah mitzvahs. So when he thinks about that, and this is what's been given to him, so this engenders this incredible love and appreciation. All right, friends, it's already Gewalt. So let's continue. We'll continue tomorrow, Be'ezrat Hashem. We just finished the sentence. V'zeh bina ben Yudke. So this is bina, 2 words, child, Yudke. Sheideya is bonanes ben b'chinas Yudke. Thinking into Yud and Hey, as we explained it now. Nase b'chinas ben. This engenders and creates the child relationship, meaning b'chinas av l'likus engenders a love for Hashem. To be continued, Be'ezrat Hashem, tomorrow.